I don't know. I feel like things don't get easier now going up against a Commanders defense for the Browns. The Commanders need to win to make the postseason. Tank. In a spot like this, being a former player, do you think the Commanders come out, give it 150%, and take advantage, mostly on the defensive side? Because I don't think Cleveland's going to really be able to get anything going.
Yeah, I mean the Commanders need some help, but if they win out, their chances of making the playoffs is decent, I guess. I look at
Mm-hmm.
this game from this macro level. The Cleveland Browns are out of the playoff race right now. They had a perfect setup last week where you're going against a dome team in the New Orleans Saints in like the coldest temperatures, I believe, on the slate last week. I mean, it was frigid. I
Mm-hmm.
Oh
watched that
yeah.
game mostly covering it, and that was the coldest game by far. And for the Browns to drop the ball against a dome team and the Saints in their home stadium, I mean, that was disappointing. That just kind of shows you where the Browns are right now. And I believe when you're facing a Washington Commander team, especially on defense that has Chase Young back, their strong suit is stopping the run. And so I really don't see a recipe for success for the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a game. And then when you flip it over, too, before I forget, we know that Carson Wentz is going to be the quarterback over Taylor
Yes.
Heineke this week. But they're going to lean on the run game. They're going to lean on Brian Robinson mostly, and then Antonio Gibson. Cleveland Browns are one of the worst rush defenses in the league. So I would expect Brian Robinson to get a heavy, and that should be their path to success. So when I look at this at Commanders -2 and looking at the over under, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really sure how many points are going to be scored in this one. But I feel pretty comfortable in the Commanders should cover the -2. So if I was going to take a bet on this one, it'd probably be Commanders -2.
The Commanders are 4-0 against the spread against teams with a losing record. Jared, would you support that trend too and tank and say the Commanders are going to cover here?
Yeah, no bet for me here. But if I had to pick this, absolutely, I would not be
Mm-hmm.
betting on Deshaun Watson to go on the road and get a win, which is basically what you're betting. I did, although that being said, I did just see the line tick down to 2 from 2.5 to 2 about an hour or two ago. So there's someone out there in the market who's really smart over at Superbook who just bet the Browns +2.5. So keep that in mind. Again, at this stage of the season, and the motivational angles will absolutely come to fruition. They will be a big part of the discussion. But in the NFL, the betters shape the market very quickly, and a lot of times that value gets sucked out, and the market actually takes that into account when creating the lines and shaping the lines. So I think it's hard to use the motivational angles in the NFL
Mm-hmm.
as your end all be all for the handicaps. Like obviously Washington has to win. They need to get into the playoffs. I think the line bakes that in to a sense, especially after the line gets dropped Sunday night. We're here taping on a Wednesday, and the sharp money has already eaten their chunks out of where they think the angles really lie. So I would caution bettors out there that are basing their bet solely on, well, this team has to win, so that this is the bet to make. I think there's more nuance here. And I do think Deshaun Watson, he hasn't been good, but he hasn't played in 2 years. Like, it's gonna
Yeah.
take some time. My guess is there is going to be a week, maybe it's not this week, maybe it's next season, where the light bulb comes back on for him. Maybe it is this week, but very hard to gauge when that's going to happen. Let's just leave it at this. When that light bulb does come on, the Browns are probably going to win that game, and they're probably going to massively exceed odds maker expectations, because right now you're seeing the numbers skew a little bit against Watson in this Browns offense, because they have not been good, and they did not look good last week against a good Saints defense. So I think this is a tough game to cap. I think obviously the market's kind of begging you to take the Commanders at under a field
Mm-hmm.
goal, but I think there's better spots on the board this week based on what we've seen. I mean, do you trust Carson Wentz the favorite? I
Never.
don't know if I do.
No.